All right, so I guess just in the interest of trying to be efficient, we'll probably get a couple more people joining here. 922, that I think is the front and foremost question. How many of you have played with the release candidate? Okay, that's actually better than I was expecting. Good. Any issues with the release candidate at this point that you guys have seen? Anything of, holy cow, we've got to fix this level concern for the release candidate?
When I tried it, the edit bar was not loading, but I think it's resolved.
Okay. Okay, so you've not tried it since that edit bar issue that Oliver got fixed?
No, did not have time. And while I tried a clean install and I tried an upgrade and, just the basic features, I didn't do extensive testing. Okay. But that's what was noticed when I did, and I think it's resolved.
Okay. All right. Tomas, do we happen to have any update on the ESW QA side for 922? Or is that more of an Ash question?
No, I think that's me questions, right? But I don't have any update for you. Well, that's good or bad. I haven't had any reports. Well, at least nothing that would be of interest for platform.
Okay. Awesome.
So, hello, everybody.
Howdy, sir. Okay, so we're working on so we got the release candidate going. Current plan is for the release candidate to go out for another week, barring any major issues. There is a potential that I'm going to need to delay the release of 922 slightly. I'll know more in the next 24 hours or so after finishing some conversations with Tomas and Ash. But with that in mind, please, those of you that haven't tested anything with 922 yet, if you have a moment, give it a shot. Even if it's just a quick glance, even over smaller areas, I really do want to try to see if we can ramp up the community review cycles in that process for 922 and the future releases. It's going to be even more important as we roll into 9.3, as we start, not only just fixing things, but actually working on improving things, making sure that we get more that we have here, and kind of going from there. Oliver, anything from you on 922? I mean, I think we're pretty well set at this point. Otherwise,
yeah, I haven't heard anything. I have 2 packaging issues that will be resolved for the final build, and one of those is the NuGet packages, getting those auto-generated so we can release them.
Okay.
I got one thing. This is John. I talked to manage.com, and they said they're still not recommending 9.2, but I doubt if they've tried .1, .2, and I don't know their specifics. But they've had reports, so they're not recommending it to their customers currently.
My guess, and this is something that maybe we should address with JR, my guess is that the recommendation that they are placing is due to the breaking changes of 9.2, and not because of anything inherently unstable with 9.2 or 9.2.1. And I think we want to be really careful with that and try to, evangelize that a little bit more of, it's an unfortunate thing, right? We all know that 9.2 should have been called 10 or otherwise, so that people had an understanding of what it was. but we can't go back and re-add stuff.
Sure.
I will say it again here, especially since this is recorded. Upgrading to 9.2, unfortunately, it shouldn't be considered optional. There are security fixes in place in 9.2, 9.2.1, etc., that don't exist in the prior versions. So as much as there's some pain with the third-party modules, I know, Daniel, it's actually a good segue. Almost all of the older DNN open source modules are getting closer and closer, right, to supporting 9.2. Is there?
I can pull up my list, but yes, we can say that there are almost, and all the most popular ones are fine. It's really more rarely used ones that still have issues, and the ones that were never moved from Codeplex.
Okay,
But I have a list.
John, would you mind to mute?
Sorry, what was that, Sebastian?
John, would you mind to mute yourself? There's some noise.
Oh yeah. So that's one of the things I think. We just want to make sure that we are communicating, the importance of upgrading, even though there's a problem. I did notice also that there's where did it go? Sorry, Scott McCullough's modules. I know there's some changes there as well that fixed. That's something that's happened within like the last. That's within like the last 12 or 24 hours, I believe, that the child links module from Venetrian got fixed. Which I know
that's right.
That fixes a lot. Does anybody know if there's been a release of news articles that's 9.2 compatible?
No release yet, but I've been working with Vicence on that one.
Okay.
And we have a working version on 9.2 ready. But we need, I need to talk to Vicence to get it to work. Actually, to get it tested and to get it submitted to Scott. And I fixed the child links module. And he actually implemented the changes within a few days. So
Awesome.
after
That's
the pull
awesome.
request. So that's looking good as far as I'm concerned.
Awesome. That is great. And Will, I hope that question was not real.
For the core modules, all the ones that were moved to GitHub, there's only 2 that are currently not working with 9.2, which is Forum and Gallery.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, so this is really good. I mean, it's going to be a continual battle here. I see and hear the same things as Peter pasted in. Do you have a fix for something in 5.2.2? That does happen. We just need to encourage people to try to move forward a little bit more. Especially as more issues get resolved, those kinds of things.
I just get the feeling that we've lost our kind of conduit of communication to these people. That somehow they live off of an island and they have kind of wandered off. And so, they come back every now and then when some shit breaks and have a look around and they go like, oh, okay, God, no, don't want to be bothered with all the new stuff. I just want to get this stuff working and be out of here again.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting group. I mean, a lot of times I find it's more of the people that are using stuff internally. They're like, oh, I'm not exposed publicly, so it doesn't matter, or I'm on, whatever. And then I have the random rare one that is widely publicly available and still running on 3. And it just works until it gets...
Yeah, and to be true, I mean, I don't, indeed, I don't tell them like, oh, you suck and you should update. I think they have in a sense, they have a point, right? It's like, hey, why do I move anything that is still working? Well, it isn't, of course, when they contact me, but they kind of realize the cascade of stuff, and then with all the vendors that have disappeared, all of a sudden you're faced with a near impossible situation. So
Yeah.
this is a tough one.
You know, this is something that came up. Somebody mentioned it to me earlier this week, that they're curious if there was anybody in this group that would be interested in, we've always talked about, here's 922, here's 9.1, upgrade, right? Or here's your wiki article on how you do upgrades. There's not ever been a well put together, whether it's a blog post or a white paper, best practices guide. There hasn't been anything put together that sells into the executives, into management. Here's why you want to stay current. And it's something that it's an interesting community blog article. And I don't know, Clint, if it's something, you want to take a stab at and, publish it under your name or any of the others of us that you pretend to be.
Mr. Awareness is here on the. No?
But Will, I guess the real question is for it may very well be your group. This is an interesting segue, right? But there's the question was asked, how do I justify the importance of upgrading? Because, they don't want to read the release notes. They don't want to aggregate the release notes. They want a generalized, why? And it's a kind of a fair question. In my opinion, it's a little light, but I'm curious to this group's thoughts on what happens.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, over the years, there's been plenty of people putting out like wiki updates and blog articles and videos, and everybody starts with some abbreviated form of this is why you need to upgrade. So it's not like the information isn't out there, unless we're like just looking for some value proposition landing page, but this also speaks back to, in Peter's word, these people. Like, we could create that, it doesn't mean they're going to look at it.
Yeah. No, and this is exactly our challenge. These people are not. They're not. They don't have the radio tuned to us. So I've always felt that there needed to be some kind of ping back from within DNN to us. The community or some board or whatever that says, hey man, something's going wrong with this installation. Click here. And it would look at your installation and then come up with some good advice for you, like oh god, you're on DNN 522, then these and these are your going to be your challenges if you have these and these modules, etc. Like you could run an analysis of stuff, but unless they have an issue, they don't. I don't think they'll pass by.
Okay. All right, G. Well, just like you said, it's something.
I don't think we answered the question though, Mitch. Like, do we really feel that needs to exist in a different form? Do we think it'll have an impact?
From my perspective, the reason why it seems compelling is I find myself restating repeatedly, this is why you should upgrade. Security, compliance, blah, 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 all of these things. And I don't have a resource to point somebody to that really outlines it. So I think there is a potential need. I just don't know exactly what that looks like. Because we don't want to be fear-mongering that your world is coming to an end either.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a way to message things.
Yeah.
Clint, I have a question for you related to this. Do you have access to, and do you regularly or at any point look at the Google Analytics for DNN's website?
I don't have access. They used to surface themselves in the persona bar, and those no longer work. So I don't know how you can get them. I can ask Ash or Tomas may know.
Well,
so analytics.
Yeah. So the root of the question is, like, it would be useful to know how many people are using upgrade related search terms into the site inbound. Because we're spread thin all over the place in all groups. So I'd like to, if we're going to place effort on something that I kind of feel already exists and all over the place, it would be nice to kind of validate it, and not just for this, but for many decisions.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just looking. All these charts are blank. It says the site hasn't recorded any data this week. Is your account configured correctly? So I think something must have changed. I mean, and I haven't seen it since like a long time ago. So I'm not sure what the deal is. So I guess to answer your question, I don't know that we will be able to get any of that data because it seems Google Analytics is not properly configured on this site.
Okay. Alrighty, well, yeah, like I said, I just wanted to make sure to mention that since we've heard it through a couple of channels. Looking back at our discussions previously in relation to 922 and 9.3, we'd originally desired trying to get the licensing files updated for 922. I was not able to come even remotely close to getting that done for this. It's going to take substantially longer time than I had anticipated to get that correct. So I'm going to try to work on getting that for 9.3. Otherwise, as we've looked for the automated builds where they're supposed to be, ESW changing their pipeline to consuming the community-based builds, etc., looks like we're pretty well on track. So 9.3, we had discussed getting the async and deferred JS feature in as part of the community contributions from there, and that, Oliver, coming in from you. Is that still something that we can hopefully expect prior to October 5th?
Yeah, I'm hoping to get that in a couple weeks before code freeze.
Okay.
Start the review.
We also had on the list, Sebastian, from you, the new SQL scripting pattern in terms of the drop creates and things.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay. All right. Daniel, I saw your message as well that you're looking for page icons and some Google Analytics stuff prior to October 5th as well.
Yes, I'd like to do that.
Okay. And then, let's see here.
Wasn't Mike Smeltzer working on Google Analytics UI?
Yeah, we definitely would need to get in touch and see what's the best approach here. My solution was just to bring back what was there, and there were stocks to make it a connector. I know we played a little bit with connectors. We would have to get in touch and see.
Yeah, Mike was working on the connector. Yeah.
Mike. Last I heard, Mike has a working connector. He was testing. So.
Page icon.
So I think in regards to that, we could have, well, we have to check the details, but maybe one connector for just analytics and one for Google Tag Manager, or we can bundle both. I don't know. We have to look at the details.
Okay, no worries. No worries. That'll work.
Just different scripts if you use a scripting technology, whether you include GTM or GA.
Yeah.
Okay. Just double check one other thing. Okay, so anything else? Is there anything for 9.3, so I have on my list for 9.3 as well as looking at upgrading minimum versions on all of the JavaScript libraries. I know, Brian, you mentioned having at least a tool to help us audit what we needed to change. Was making some changes, improving those versions, something that you were potentially going to be able to help with, or is that more of just we need to keep a better eye on it?
Yeah, right now I don't have a lot of extra time to be putting towards that.
Okay. That's something we can do. So
I know on the call last week, Matt was talking about some updates that he might have for the persona bar by the first week of October, or at least updating references and frameworks.
Yeah, I've got for the React Common stuff. I'm working to get that all in for 9.3.
Okay. Maybe we can chat, Matt, at some point, just according to see if we can get a couple other library updates done as part of that. I just have like 3 that I have a specific call out that I want to make sure get addressed for a couple of reasons.
Sure.
So that's the only other thing that I have specifically.
GDPR. Yeah, there will be as well some GDPR improvement additions. I can't promise that we will get everything done by for 4.9.3 by October 5th. This is a short timeline. But at least we will have some, we discussed today a couple of subjects, and some people are willing to help, and I'm currently writing it down and trying to get people raising a hand to take over the job for specific items. But we decided today how it should be implemented, and so I think that we will get at least a little bit.
Fantastic. And even if you can get some of it kind of logged out and into issues, Sebastian, just to keep the communication going, and we can assign it to the milestone, that would be awesome. Just so we can get what I'm looking for here is to get visibility into this is what the community is working on. If we hit 9.3, great. If we don't hit 9.3, we'll get there, right? I mean, we are a community effort. We want to make best efforts to get there. I just want to make sure that we kind of improve that visibility in terms of what's going on and what's coming next, so that people can, kind of see what we're working on.
I would like to get at least the interface being implemented for the improvement for iSearchable, for iPortable, sorry, for user-specific content. But at the moment, I can't promise. This should be in a major version, in my opinion. Although maybe the implementation might be in 9.3.1, where it really gets working. But at least the extension developers or module developers can address this interface accordingly.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, and we can talk about the feature split in terms of whether it's something that needs to go into 10 or otherwise. That's good enough. So
there might be minor features for GDPR which go in 9.3.1 or 9.3.2. I don't think this is really this would be a problem if it's a very small feature.
Yep, exactly. All right, so then the other things that we had kind of been putting out there. So I'm trying to look ahead a little bit. There's been some requests and conversation pushing, right, of talking more future than where we're at right now. So looking ahead, I want to try to see where we have some commitments with regards to the 10x release. Right now we have one 10x feature, which is the support for async. That change is already sitting there just waiting to be merged. We have Razor Pages implementation that Andrew's working on that's still slated for inclusion in 10.0. We had discussed at one point in time getting some prototype work done with regards to a new API structure as something that would be coming as we get closer to 10. Do we have any update on that, Peter, other than correct that's in the works?
Unfortunately not. No, there's no, brutally honest, no, there's no update on that.
Okay.
And
Okay. I am waiting on an update from Ash with regards to the cache-in provider that was discussed. I need to follow up with him on that again to see where the status is of it. My guess would be that its inclusion is going to either be in 9.3 or 10. So I need to make sure that we get that back. I know we also have a site lock feature out there that an initial pull request is out there from Brian Dukes that adds the functionality, but it's lacking the UI. That is something else that I would love to see cleared out if we can get somebody with some free time to assist with a pull request.
Can you just describe what it's about?
The concept behind that, and Brian, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong here, but this is the whole concept of being able to kind of lock the site for editing, to do planned maintenance, correct?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in general, the idea of being able to turn off editing for a site. And so that could be planned maintenance, or that could be, I think it originally came from a client who, managed hundreds of sites, and they wanted to be able to have certain sites not editable by their editors at various times for whatever reason. So there's...
Just a question. I remember Oliver had a feature in his custom DNN build where you could lock single pages from being edited by users except the admin. Would that be something similar, or is it totally different?
This is site level, but otherwise the same basic idea.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it can be combined. That was my idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now I understand. Sorry, because I understood logging, not locking. Sorry.
No, that's right. So from my perspective, I want to just make sure that we start thinking a little bit more about 10. Processes seem to be going smoother and smoother in terms of communication. As a general update to this group, we are still working on the communication processes for security related issues in terms of, keeping at least, one or two of us in the loop there. That process is going better. We've got a process in place now. So I just want to make sure that we continue moving forward. I don't have a lot else for today, unless you guys have other topics that we need to address that are right now. I would love to talk about pie in the sky future stuff, but really we have a lot of effort, and I want to be really mindful of everybody's time right now with everything that we do have on our plate already.
I would like to briefly discuss the upgrade proposition, the value proposition, but I would like to do that off of the recording if that would be possible.
Yep, we can do that in just a couple minutes, because then I have one other question I want to do off the recording since JR is on now.
I just wanted to mention that for DNN10, I would like to add the user data structure improvements I presented a couple of months ago. So that's a subject for me to do it in DNN10. And it might be also that restructuring all the core scripts will not be part of my improvements for 9.3, depending on my time, and that we need to restructure, to migrate all the existing SQL scripts to the new options I'm implementing in DNN10.
Okay.
And I think that would be more in line, because it means that people now have the option to use a new structure even for all the third-party components, but in the core we will switch to it in DNN10.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, well, I made a video series to help newcomers to getting started on DNN development. I wasn't here on the last meeting to talk about it, so just wanted to mention it. Take a look at it. If you see anything that can be done better, let me know. If you see any mistakes, whatever, just let me know so I can update it. And I think it's a good start for people new or old that want to get up to date to how it's working now. That's it.
I'm actually working through it right now, Daniel. So I'll definitely let you know how it goes.
Cool. Feel free to comment.
Thanks.
Yeah, awesome. I took a quick glance at them this morning too, and reviewing your pull requests and everything looked good. So,
Awesome.
all right. So with that, okay, you can really stop now, Clint.
Stopping recording.
So.